A Sick Gray Laugh release day Q&A. And in this video, I'm joined by Jasmine the Jazzy Cat here. So this must be a particularly special question that's getting asked because she has shown up for this one. But basically, this is the release day of my novel, A Sick Gray Laugh, my second novel. And to celebrate, I'm taking questions from folks who have submitted them on Facebook and Twitter. So without any further ado, point out that question number 3 has to do with how long did it take to be able to write this book? That's my paraphrase of the question. The actual question, in all its detail, comes to us from AJ Spencer, who I look forward to seeing at my appearance at Carmichael's Bookstore in Louisville next week, by the way. AJ, I believe, is a fellow Kentuckiana resident. But anyway, AJ's question is, had the idea for this book been with you for a long time, or did it just come to you suddenly one day? Did you feel like you had to be at a certain point in your career before writing something so personal? Well, let me I'll take this kind of in 2 parts. Let me answer the second part first. I've been writing fiction related to aspects of my personal life throughout my entire writing career. A lot of the short stories in my collection, The Mirrors, came from like nightmares that I had, right, where an image would kind of pop into my head during a nightmare, and I would find it interesting and I would write about it, or even an image from like a daydream, or something that happened to me. And this is one of my earlier books. So, a lot of my fiction has been inspired by things in my personal life. I think the difference this time is that the main character has the name Noel Cashman, so it kind of is more blatantly inspired by some autobiography. But I will say, of course, that it's not completely autobiographical. There's some playfulness going on about that, as far as like, this is me, but it's not really me, and the whole book really has a lot to do with identities and who is who and what is what, and that sort of thing. What is veiled, what is unveiled, etc. So I don't feel like I had to be a certain point in my career before writing something very personal, because as I mentioned in one of the other videos, answering a question, like, there was some personal stuff that went into this one, like the character has OCD, for example, personal stuff in there, personal stuff in here. So I felt like, that's just been always my approach as a writer, obviously with the understanding that the personal is kind of like the foundation maybe for the story, and then imagination takes over from there, and goes on. But there are certain themes I keep referring to, or certain themes I keep addressing over the course of my fiction that are personal things, and that's just kind of how I'm built as a writer. Not every writer is built that way. There are writers who I think are just kind of curious about the world around them and are drawn to certain things that are external to them. I'm somebody who is the opposite. I'm drawn by passions, by previous tragedies in my life, by traumas, by strange mental experiences, all of those kinds of things. So that's the second part of the question. AJ's first part of the question is pretty intriguing, I think. He says, had the idea for this book been with you for a long time, or did it just come to you suddenly one day? I would say that the idea for something like A Sick Gray Laugh has been with me since probably the autumn of 2014. So that is a very long time. And it took a lot of what happened was I kind of had to sort out what I wanted to say and how I wanted to say it through lots of writing and rewriting and rewriting and rewriting and yanking out like 50,000 words or so at one point, and rewriting and rewriting and revision, and getting a sense of exactly what I was trying to capture, which is, kind of what existence is like at this particular place and this particular time for a character who is, at least in some ways, like me. Who, and that I'm limited in some aspects because the only eyes I can really see the world through genuinely and all its, kind of subtleties and nuances are my own eyes. That's what the equipment that I've been given. So obviously through empathy we can try to see the world through other people's eyes, but when push comes to shove, we're limited to our own perspective. And so I'm kind of lost the thread here, but yeah, so it took a while to get that right. Basically, the idea of wanting to write about a person with mental health issues in a world that is becoming sicker and sicker as well, a world that has mental health issues. And that's been with me for a while, but it took a long time for this particular approach to it to gel. And it probably wasn't until, I guess, maybe early to mid 2018 that I felt confident in my direction. So that's that answer. And then let's go on to the next question.